What's up, guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today we're continuing our full set review of Disney Plus Next Phase with the super rares. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Starting us off at number 44 in the set, we have Aguila, and he looks pretty fancy in his suit and his little sword there and everything. Looks really cool. But taking a look at his card here, he has Abomination, Martial Artist, and Warrior keywords. And so, of course, he has the Abomination Mindfulness trait we've seen throughout this set, which gives him free remove an action token from himself, and if you do, give an action token to a friendly character with the Abomination keyword within 4 squares. So they pretty much all have that. It's nice to move tokens around and, keep them off of your main attackers, put them on whoever you want to put them on. Then he has this really cool special attack power that is Blades, Claws, Fangs, and when he uses it, increase the result of the roll by +1 for each opposing character adjacent to the target. So you run up there with a group of enemies all clustered together. You could get a huge Blades Claws roll and do some massive damage because, it just increases the result of the roll +1. So I believe you could actually increase the result of that, beyond 6. So like if you rolled a 6 and they're adjacent to like 2 characters, he could hit for 8, I think is how that works. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you could be swinging for 8 or like 9 or whatever crazy damage if they're all grouped up in a huge group like that. But yeah, charge, blades, 12 attack, 2 damage with leadership, some combat reflexes, only 45 points. Not bad at all. Then he goes to some sidestep and empower. So he's definitely like the leader of their little group. But yeah, I think this guy would be great. With martial artist and warrior, there's a lot of good like generic themes you could throw him on. And I think he's just a really, really good Blades character. And Blades is one of my favorite powers. So yeah, for only 45 points, he seems pretty good. But next up, we have another Abomination character with Man Bull. Looks pretty silly, honestly. But anyway, looking at his card here, he does have the Abomination, Animal, Brute, and Warrior keywords. He's got a trait that gives him knockback, and when he attacks an opposing character, modify his attack +1 for each red standard power that character can use. So of course, it's funny because, he's like a bull, and red makes him mad or whatever. So if they have like flurry, blades, super senses, and range combat expert, he gets a +4 attack, which would of course just cap out at the +3 anyway. But yeah, it's pretty easy to see, some blades, super sense type characters or flurry blades. So pretty easy to get like a +2 on this guy against the right targets. Also, the Abomination trait to move his action tokens around. And yeah, improved movement destroys blocking. That's always nice. A full dial of charge and 11 attack is pretty great. Some good damage reducers. And starting off with a 4 damage and power, and then going into some support, it looks like. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, for 60 points, this guy is a really strong close attacker. Just charging in there. He already has knockback, or he can use Quake to Quake a bunch of people, or you can just, smack somebody for 4 damage and then have somebody else follow up, charge, and get that empower from him. Charging through walls is always great too. So not too bad for 60 points. Nothing too crazy either. But, against the right targets, he could easily get to like a 13-14 attack by himself. That's always great. But moving right along, next up we have a character that I've already talked quite a bit about because I got to preview her from WizKids, the Miss Marvel super rare. And the sculpt is really cool actually, with like the see-through effects and everything from her like hard light powers and stuff. So yeah, she looks awesome. And I know a lot of people have been confused about her, so just in case you missed my last video kind of going over it more, I will explain it more here again as well. So first of all, she's a wild card. She has Young Avengers, Celebrity, Cosmic, Mystical, and Podcaster keywords. She has a trait that gives her Impervious, and then she has Giant Reach 4 and improved targeting for characters and elevated, but only if she's holding a marker she generated. And then on her other trait, she has Barrier and Toughness. So yes, I do believe she would have Toughness and Impervious both at the same time, unless they give her some errata that's, maybe the Impervious is supposed to be tied to holding the thing, but considering it's just Impervious, period, blah, 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 it kind of seems like it's its own thing. But if they, with the Impervious, you still have the Toughness to rely on, so that is kind of nice. But anyway, the next part of it is Miss Marvel may take close terrain actions or ranged terrain actions as free, but only to attack with markers she generated. And if you take a look at her special attack power, she has super strength and telekinesis there. And so the main reason she has the TK, if you don't know, the standard power TK as a separate effect from the normal power action to move stuff around, lets you use terrain within your range and line of fire as if you were holding it for ranged terrain actions. So that is pretty much the main reason she has TK, so she can use barrier to generate, some blocking terrain, and then she can make a range attack with one of them as if she was holding it because of the TK. So it gives her a free range attack. And then if you happen to be on the 80-point starting line, or maybe equip her with something that gives her sidestep, then she could sidestep to pick up and hold another piece of her blocking terrain that she generated with barrier, and then she can take a free close action to attack with that one as well. So for the 80 points, I think she's pretty great. The 120 point line, honestly, not much of a fan of that one, though she does start with higher stats and close combat expert and everything. That is nice. I still think she's kind of built to be played around the 80 point line because of that sidestep, so that way she can be making 2 free terrain actions a turn, and still have a couple barriers up afterwards. So the only thing I wish is that she had some type of improved targeting for her own blocking terrain. Would have been really nice. That way she could barrier in front of herself and still, use it for close and range attacks. That would have been really useful, but otherwise you kind of have to barrier off to your side somewhere so you can still see your targets to throw one and use one to punch with. But yeah, I mean, if you perplex up her attack on the 80-point line, maybe copy Avengers team ability or something, she could pretty easily get herself up to like a 12 attack, be making 2 attacks a turn with terrain. One of them would be like a +1 damage, so she'd be swinging for 4 with a close attack. And I think the standard is 2 damage when thrown, so one would be 2 damage and one would be the 4 damage. So she could potentially be doing like 6 damage a turn that way. So yeah, I mean, for 80 points, there's better characters, but she's really fun and interesting. I think, they took what she does in the show with her new power set, and, they made it pretty interesting. They kind of made it work with Heroclix, with the barrier and everything else. So I think she's a fun character. I don't think she's like super meta crazy or anything, but if you're a fan of Miss Marvel, especially if you're a fan of the show, I think she's really well represented here. But moving on, next we have Elsa Bloodstone, who looks great. I mean, the sculpt is really cool with her swinging this rope around and everything. And taking a look at her card here, she is one of, if not the best, super rare in the set. She has Marksman, Martial Artist, Mystical, and Warrior keywords. Mystic's team ability as well is always nice. And just because of this first trait here is pretty much what makes her one of the best characters in this set. Other characters can't be healed. That's it. Simple as that. It's super nuts. She's the only one that can be healed by any effect, regen, support, steal energy, and like Scott Porter with the black shirt healing somebody once per turn, any effect that heals. She's the only one that can be healed by anything. So with a lot of newer characters nowadays, Carnage, Silver Surfer, Black Lanterns, etc., there's a lot of characters that rely on healing past their start line, or even in the case of like Prime Spider-Man taking a damage from using his trait and then healing it back with either Steal Energy or some other character healing him or something. There's a lot of, strategy around healing, getting that a little bit of healing in every turn. So she shuts all that down, and she's only 75 or even 40 points, and that trait is active even at the 40-point line, which is absolutely crazy. And don't forget, she's got the Marksman keyword, so she can be assigned the trick arrows for free, and that's pretty great. So that gives her, any type of free equipment is going to be useful to have. And then she also has a stop click, stop, regeneration, and willpower, so she can, survive a lot. If she hits that stop, as long as they don't kill her right away, she just regens. That's pretty awesome. It's especially crazy with Mystics because they're going to have to take up a lot of Mystics damage trying to get through that. But yeah, I mean, I think 40 points is pretty much where you want to play her at. She does have a pretty good 75-point line, though, with Running Shot, Penetrating Blast, Toughness, and some Range Combat Expert. So 12 for 4 Penetrating Running Shot is pretty great. But I mean, Sidestep, Pulse Wave, Super Senses. You still got the Range Combat Expert, so she's still a 12 attack on the Pulse Wave. I think that's pretty much where it's at, right? That like she's super, super good there. And if you don't want to give her the arrows, you could also equip her with like a motorcycle for running shot, so she could sidestep and running shot pulse wave, or just, a lot of other good stuff. So yeah, I think 40 points, she's super competitive. Even 75 points, she's really great. I think she's a really, really, really strong figure and just really cool. Like, we don't usually get these crazy silver bullets like this that just shut down everything. So yeah, really awesome. 10 out of 10 figure for sure. Next up, though, is her Prime version. But again, she has the Marksman, Martial Artist, Mystical, and Warrior keywords. She has Charge and Running Shot both traded, which is crazy, so she can swap between either of them whenever you need. But then it continues that whenever she hits after resolutions, you may unequip a hit character and equip any equipment unequipped this way to Elsa Bloodstone. Elsa Bloodstone may be equipped with any number of equipment when equipped this way. So there's a lot of equips in there, but basically she running shots in there, hits somebody, dequips them, and then steals it and equips it to herself right away. That's pretty freaking nuts. But that's not all, because then it also has free choose and unequip an equipment equipped to Elsa Bloodstone, and an adjacent friendly character may immediately equip that equipment. So that's crazy. She can not only steal equipment, but just take a free action to hand it to somebody next to her too and equip them with it. That's so good. Oh man, and the fact that she has Marksman means she can again start with the trick arrows for free, which means she can immediately hand that off to somebody else if you want to, or you could equip her with any other random equipment to start with and just toss that off to somebody else. And the cool thing is, after the game starts, you can't begin the game assigning equipment to like giants and colossals and non-standard characters, but they can equip it throughout the course of the game. So once the game started, she could take a free action and just equip any equipment you had on her onto like a colossal Kong or something else. It's pretty nuts. And yeah, she's only 70 or 30 points, so she's like 5 points less than Mad Jim Jaspers, and she kind of has some of that same craziness with the equipment as he does. But yeah, then she's got Precision Strike and free make an attack, but only to target an equipped opposing character on her special attack power that she has her whole dialed. So not only can she running shot in there, if she misses, she can just take another free attack on anybody that is equipped. That is so crazy. And it doesn't say like instead of normal damage on that trait either, so she's still dealing her full damage and, unequipping them and taking it for herself. That's so good. And then under defense power, you got super senses, and she takes a maximum of 1 damage from equipped opposing characters, protected outwit. That again is crazy, but the weird thing to me is that her whole thing is like dequipping people and, unequipping them, taking it for herself, giving it to other friendlies, etc. But she also only takes 1 damage from equipped characters. So it's like you almost don't want to unequip them because they're only going to be able to deal her 1 damage anyway. So yeah, that's a little weird, but regardless, 70 points, she's really good, long dial. But I think 30 points, again, here, the lower dial for her is where it's at. You're only going to be missing 1 on movement and 1 on damage. She's still got a 12 attack, 18 defense with the precision and the super senses and all the crazy equipment effects. Stealth and outwit on dial as well. Don't forget about that. And, she got traded charge and running shot. Only downside to playing her at 30 is that she does have kind of low damage potential with only 2, but with precision, she's going to be dealing at least 1 no matter what anyway. And yeah, if you want to, you can like steal those equipments and everything. So yeah, pretty great. She gets the free attacks against equipped characters, so she kind of be like shooting twice per turn if you didn't want to steal the equipment off of them. So yeah, all around, I would say she's probably my favorite Prime of the whole set. She is amazing, 10 out of 10 figure, just like her regular super rare version. Up next is Werewolf by Night. Got the Legion of Monsters, Animal, Monster, and Mystical keywords. He's got traded Steel Energy, and when he hits or is hit by an attack, give him a Rage token, and then he has free remove 2 Rage tokens to make a close attack. So that's pretty awesome. Then he's got a special movement power that gives him stealth and charge, but do not half speed. Gotta love that. Full speed charge is always going to be good. And then he's got stop, super senses, toughness, and then free, remove 2 rage tokens from him to use regeneration as free. which is pretty great. So he can be healing off his stop. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, don't forget that regeneration heals you 1 less off of stop clicks. So if you roll like a 1 or 2, you're not going to heal anything, unfortunately. But if you roll like a 5 or 6 and you would normally heal 3, you're going to heal 2 instead. So max healing you're ever going to get off of a regen off a stop click is only 2. So don't forget to keep that in mind. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Steel Energy is not affected by that, though. I think if this dude hits his stop click there, you know, he has Flurry on that click. So as long as he's already adjacent to somebody, you could Flurry Steel Energy twice, assuming you hit twice, and then you'd also get 2 Rage tokens, which you could then immediately remove to smack somebody and potentially Steel Energy up another click. So you could potentially heal more just from attacking than from actually using regen. So for me personally, I'd rather just risk the attacks, try to heal with the Steel Energy, and then try to get another free attack from the Rage tokens to heal more. So yeah, I mean, for 90, he's pretty great. He's got a super long dial, 2 stop clicks, tons of damage potential, 12 attack blades, 4 damage, exploit weakness, 18 impervious, 8 movement, full move charge, and stealth. You know, pretty freaking nuts for 90. But he's also really great for 50 points. You got 6 movement, full charge, 11 blades, 3 damage, battle fury. So either you're penetrating through damage reducers or you're ignoring shape change, whichever you want there. And then the 18 defense still with invulnerability is nice. And yeah, I mean, I think he's great at both point values. It just depends on, like, if you want him to be like the main headliner, you know, 90 point big character getting in there, getting tons of damage, really hard to put down. Or if you want him like a really strong secondary attacker, I think he'd be great either way. So I like him a lot. He's one of my favorite super rares. But moving right along, next up we have the Scarlet Scarab. And she looks freaking amazing. You know, super nice wings and everything. Gotta love it. So taking a look at her card, she has the Herald, Mystical, Scientist, and Warrior keywords, and the Mystics and Cosmic Energies team abilities. Again, 2 of the best team abilities in the game to have. And then she has a trait, Sideline Active. Friendly characters named Layla El Fowli have free. If this character is on click number 5, replace her with a number 52 Scarlet Scarab. I think it's supposed to be number 49 actually there. Anyways, number 49, Scarlet Scarab, from your sideline on her 60-point starting line. If Layla was chosen to be a character's avatar, then Scarlet Scarab is now that character's avatar this game. So yeah, pretty awesome. That Layla, of course, in this set has stop click on click number 5. So, you know, if she gets hit to her stop, then you can swap her out with the Scarlet Scarab on your sideline. And she comes in at the full 60-point line too, so that is pretty nuts. But yeah, running shot, pulse wave, prob, and then I think she also has a stop. Yeah, she's got traded energy shield deflection from the wings, and then stop, invincible, and super senses. Man, that is crazy. So if they don't put down that Layla quick, she's gonna come in like so much stronger. And if you made her the avatar of, you know, one of the Egyptian gods, then she's going to be the avatar as well. So that's going to carry over to her, which is really, really great. And yeah, I think that's super amazing. And even just playing her at 115 looks pretty fun. She does have flight, of course, hypersonic, 12 attack, precision strike, 18 impervious that immediately goes into a stop click on click number 2. And then she's got a 3 damage with range combat expert. So that's pretty great. But don't forget that she will half that 4 range down to 2, but that's still better than having to be right up next to them, so you don't have to break away for the hypersonic. So she can hypersonic in there, shoot from 2 squares away for a 13 attack, 4 damage, precision strike, and then hypersonic back away again to get that, you know, energy shield deflection as well. And yeah, just pretty great all around. I like her a lot for sure. Definitely gonna want to put her on the sideline if you're playing that Layla. But next up we have Abomination, and this dude is huge. The sculpt on this guy is massive, which is great. You love to see those giant Hulk-like figures. So he's got Abomination, Brute, Celebrity, and Monster keywords. Of course, he has the Abomination trait to move his tokens around like we've seen before. But then he has another trait that gives him support, and when a friendly character removes an action token from themselves, modify their attack +1 this turn. So that's really great because it works with the Abomination trait, but it also works with like willpower and any other similar effects that would remove tokens from yourself. So that's really great. You know, +1 attack for that is is nice, especially when you consider looking at all these Abomination characters. A lot of them already have pretty high attack values, like 11s and 12s and stuff, and ways to up their own attack values already. Looking at some of those super rares. So another extra bonus on top of that means you're probably going to be hitting a lot of your attacks with an Abomination team. But then he has one more trait that says, when establishing theme teams, you may choose another character with the brute or monster keyword. This game, that character gains the Abomination keyword and can use the Abomination mindfulness trait. So, of course, using their own name in the trait. And that's great for letting them move their own action tokens around and everything. That way he's going to giving them +1 attack, and he's got support to heal him up. And at either 100 or 65, he starts with Empower and then goes into some Perplex. Definitely has a Hulk-like dial because he starts off for 100 points with just some Sidestep, Super Strength, 19 Invincible, 3 damage with that Empower. And then late dial, he goes all the way up to Charge with a 12 attack Quake, 18 Impervious, and 4 damage with the Perplex. So, of course, he gets stronger as he goes. He is also giant size, thankfully. So he is going to be able to get that, giant size willpower for himself. And it is just whenever a friendly character removes a token from themselves. So every time he gets that giant size willpower on a 3 through 6, he's going to give himself a +1 attack as well, which is nice. So he'll pretty much be an 11 for the most part to start with. Even so, I don't really love the 100-point line. His stats are really low other than his defense. So for that reason, I'd probably just play him for 65. He's still Sidestep. Still Empower and everything. He pretty much just swaps the Super Strength for Quake and loses 1 on his defense, but you're saving 35 points. So I think 65-point line is a little bit better, especially because it gives you more room for, kind of cheating a character onto an Abomination team. And Brute and Monster are 2 great keywords to cheat onto an Abomination team. There's Kong, there's Carnage Silver Surfer, just off the top of my head. Those are a couple of really strong monster keywords. So yeah, I think it could be a pretty fun team, actually, the Abomination team. It feels like you almost have to play him if you're playing an Abomination team because it lets you kind of, keyword cheat somebody on there, give them that awesome trait. And he's got a lot of supporting powers, but is also kind of like a secondary attacker. And, I don't know, he's pretty decent all around, just very niche. Like, he's only really good for an Abomination team, and I would say he's just not great for anything else. But of course, right after Abomination, we have our boy Wong here. Wongers. This sculpt on him is freaking awesome, by the way, coming out of that portal and everything. It's very awesome. Love to see it. So he again has the Cosmic Energy and Mystics team ability combo that are just, both such strong team abilities. Then you got Avengers, Celebrity, Martial Artist, and Mystical keywords. But then he has a trait that if Wong is adjacent to exactly one opposing character, and neither is adjacent to any other characters can't be moved or placed adjacent to either of them and can't target either of them. So we've seen traits like this before, and I think it's really cool to bring that back again for this Wong. Because locking one character into adjacency with yourself and making it so neither of them can become adjacent or targeted by any other character is really interesting, because the special movement power also really helps with this trait. It gives him phase teleport and plasticity, and when he uses phase teleport after resolutions, he can use flurry as free. So that's really great. Just phase teleport in there. If your opponent left somebody off on their own, just stick himself adjacent to them with plasticity so they can't go anywhere. Most likely they got to roll a 6 to break away, and nobody can become adjacent to them, nobody can target them. It's just him and that other character until one of them goes down, pretty much, or until Wong decides to leave, because he can just phase teleport out of there if he wants to. And he does have a 12 attack precision strike, 18 impervious, and 3 damage for that flurry, so he's going to be able to do some good damage. And then he also has a special defense power that gives him Stop, Super Senses Toughness. When this click is first revealed, immediately place Wong up to 3 squares away from his current square. So he can kind of just get the heck out of there if it starts going bad for him. And then you have a special damage power that gives him Exploit Weakness, Probability Control, and Giant Reach 2, which is really nice. If you don't feel like getting next to somebody, that Giant Reach is really good to, still be able to make attacks, and, Exploit and Precision on that Flurry is great. But yeah, like I said, the Giant Reach is still great, so he can full move phasing, Flurry with Giant Reach. He doesn't have to become adjacent to somebody if he doesn't want to. But I would try to go for it. I would try to, pick and choose a single target that is left out on their own without anybody next to them, phase teleport up to them, and then, it's just him and Wong in 1v1 combat. and the rest of your team can be fighting the rest of their team. So you could use that to your advantage if you're like locking down one of their biggest main attackers, because Wong is a pretty good threat himself, and is going to take some time to get through with a long dial, some good damage reducers, a stop click, because then the rest of your team can go and pick off all the little supporting characters and everything. So yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. And even if you're not doing anything crazy like that, just full move phasing, giant reach, precision strike, exploit, flurry with a 12 for 3 is pretty nasty. He's going to be able to do a ton of damage just running in there and doing it that way. So yeah, pretty great, I would say. I like him a lot. Definitely, 75 points is a little bit much nowadays, but I think he's worth it for sure. He's a very real threat, and I mean, he's got mystics too, so if as much as they're hitting him, if he's missing his attacks and they're hitting him, they're taking a ton of mystics right back. Then he's got like steel energy and everything, and he can, once he hits that stop, he pops away somewhere. You could have somebody run up and heal him with support or something. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Wong, like him a lot. But moving on, next we have another Abomination member with Porcupine, who just has Abomination and armor keywords and the Mystics team ability, which makes sense being a Porcupine. He's got, of course, the Abomination mindfulness trait, and another trait that says when Porcupine is given an action token, modify his defense +1 until your next turn. And when he clears action tokens, heal him 1 click for each action token removed. This is definitely the guy you want to pile the action tokens on from everybody else. You kind of want to like carry this guy up or something, plop him next to somebody with the plasticity, poison, and invincible, and then you just give him an action token, have somebody else give him their action token. Then he's a 20 defense with invincible. Even if he gets hit, he just clears the 2 action tokens next turn and heals 2 clicks up. And he's just sitting there with poisoning them, empowering your other character's attacks. So yeah, pretty great for 45 points. But he actually has another trait that also gives him Safeguard, Outwit, Opposing Perplex, and Opposing Probability Control. That is crazy. So you can't Perplex down his stats, you can't outwit his invincible or anything like that. That is nuts. This guy's actually pretty crazy, honestly. I kind of feel like with Porcupine, Abomination, Aguila, you already got a really strong Abomination team. You can bring in a brute or a monster from Abomination. So again, that could be somebody like Kong or Carnage Surfer or something crazy. And a lot of the She-Hulks have the Abomination keywords, so you could play a good She-Hulk and stuff. So yeah, I think the Abomination team could be pretty fun, actually. There's some really good characters there, which is surprising because we didn't really get to see a lot of them. They were in like a couple episodes, but I don't think we got to see much of what they could do, but they worked with it and they made some pretty great dials, I think, for these super rares. All right, but moving right along, next up here, we have the super rare Man Thing. And kind of crazy to get another super rare Man Thing when we just got a super rare Man Thing in Wheels of Vengeance. But, it is nice to have more of them because of the legacy. Jennifer Kale has a few Man Things to choose from. But anyway, this one, the sculpt on this one looks great. I like it a lot. And taking a look at his card here, he does have Mystics team ability, Animal, Monster, Mystical, and Scientist keywords. I love the Scientist keyword there. That gives him a little more difference. I don't think any of the other ones had Scientist. And this one's only coming in at 55 points. So this is the cheapest Man Thing we have so far in Modern Age. And he has a trait that gives him Stealth, and when Man Thing starts the game, generate 4 plant-hindering terrain markers anywhere on the map. This game, those markers have, when this marker hinders line of fire, characters instead modify defense +2, and free, place Man Thing in any plant marker within 3 squares. So that's really awesome. You can just place himself in 1, 3 squares out. So he's got Stealth. And I mean, for 55 points, his dial is pretty nuts. You got 8 movement with Plasticity, 12 attack, 19 with combat reflexes, 4 damage with exploit weakness, and giant size as well. So yeah, pretty nuts. And then he's got Charge, Invincible, and Steel Energy all traded. So, yeah, and that's pretty crazy. And in addition to the 19 combat reflexes with Stealth, he's got Invincible and Steel Energy, and having the Charge traded is great because just having the Plasticity wouldn't have been the best. But then you have also Poison and Super Strength on his special attack power, again giving him some really good options for dealing damage. He can pick up his own plant terrain markers to hit somebody with, or just any other piece of terrain, and you could do some massive damage with that 12 attack, 4 exploit, maybe hit for like 6 penetrating or something, and then just sit next to him with Plasticity and Poison. Then they got to try to hit a freaking 21 defense up close. Yeah, pretty freaking crazy. I like this guy a lot. Only 55 points. And, you know, that steel energy helps keep him up as well. He's only 5 clicks, but man, is it hard to hit him and hard to keep that damage on him for sure. So yeah, he's great. And moving right along, next up we have his prime version, the black and white version of him. Looks super cool. And yeah, this guy's pretty freaking great as well. Taking a look at his card. This one just has animal, monster, and mystical keywords. Again, has Mystic's team ability. He has traded sidestep and steal energy, so he can be stealing energy and healing up the whole time as well. Coming in at 125 or 75 points, though, is a lot in today's age. But he also has a special movement power that gives him stealth, and once per turn, when the second action token is placed on an opposing character, after resolutions, you may place Man-Thing adjacent to that character. So that's really cool. As soon as somebody gets a second token, you just plop him next to them, and they're like, jump scare. Nothing much to do about that. And you never know if you're going to do it or not either. Like, you might just want to let him sit where he is. But then he's got poison, and when he uses it, increase the damage dealt to each hit character by the number of action tokens on that character. And he deals penetrating damage. So he deals penetrating damage all the time. Anytime he hits with something, or from his poison, or any other way he might deal damage, he deals penetrating damage, which is great. And I mean, just plopping himself next to somebody that got a second token means that he's immediately on your turn going to be able to poison them, you know, increasing the damage by each token for 3 penetrating damage poison. That's nuts. And then you've got on his defense toughness, willpower, and he takes a maximum of 1 damage from characters with a lower point value than him. So it is reason enough to play him at a higher point value like 125, because there's not a lot of characters most people are going to be playing. They're going to be that many points. But it does suck if you happen to go against, like, I don't know, a 200-point Kong or something. Then that's not going to matter at all, and he's just going to smash this dude. And again, I've seen it pointed out that it's weird that he's giant size and has willpower. I don't know, I guess maybe they forgot for a second that giant size gives you willpower already, but it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. He has 2 sources of willpower, whatever. Probably want to just use the giant size one for the 3 through 6 roll, but yeah, besides that, he's just got some stealth, regen, and a full dial of outwit. Oh, and another thing though that sucks is that defense power isn't protected outwit, so, you know, they could just outwit the defense power, and, you know, even if they're lower points than him, they could pretty much one-shot him pretty easy. That's kind of the only downside. But he does have full dial stealth, so they're at least going to have to get up next to him or have some type of improved targeting to be able to outwit that defense power in the first place. So yeah, I don't know. He's pretty interesting and fun. He can definitely do some cool stuff. I don't think he's the best prime in the set or anything, but he's definitely not bad. He's pretty freaking cool nonetheless. And I love the black and white sculpt and everything, so yeah, not too bad at all. Next up, though, another one of my personal favorites for this set, we have the super rare Kate Bishop. And man, oh man, she is just crazy compared to her like common versions and everything. This one's a Kate Bishop you want to use for sure. She's got Marksman, Young Avengers, Martial Artist, and Spy keywords. She's got the Team Player, Team Ability, so of course she's a wild card. She's got a trait that when she equips a trick arrow equipment, she may set an additional trick arrow card face down for that equipment. So that's great. You get 4 arrows instead of 3. So that's awesome. But then she has another trait that if she has not been moved or placed this turn, she has improved targeting for elevated, hindering, and characters and modifies her range +2. So that's nuts. She's going to have an 8 range double target. Starting with 11 attack, 3 damage, range combat expert, so she'd be 12 for 4, that can see through elevated, hindering, and characters at an 8 range. You just can't, you know, move with the running shot, but, I mean, hey, you might not need it if you can see through all that stuff. With an 8 range nowadays, it's nuts. And taking a look at her special attack power, she has Precision Strike and has range, half range, make 2 range attacks. So that's freaking awesome. Getting 2 range attacks in is always good. And don't forget the rule of replace then modify. So she would half her 6 range down to 3. And then if she hasn't been moved or placed this turn, she would then modify it +2. So she would actually have a 5 range if she's not moving for that ranged flurry. Or you could just running shot, you know, move 4 squares from the running shot, shooting 3, and that's still pretty good. So yeah, she's pretty freaking great. She gets 4 arrows from the trick arrows. She can either see through everything but blocking, or She could running shot around if she needs to. And she can flurry from range, essentially. So 2 range attacks with a 12 attack, 4 damage precision strike is pretty great. And don't forget, on each of those that hit, you're getting a trick arrow card. So you could potentially hit twice and then activate like the big arrow card after resolutions so that you then get another attack to quake from one of the squares next to a hit character and drop a blocking terrain marker there. And yeah, it's pretty crazy the amount of damage she could get in on one turn. I think she's definitely one to look out for sure. She's gonna get some sneaky damage in there. You're gonna be like, it's just Kate Bishop. What's she gonna do? She's gonna wreck your whole freaking team with one action is what she's gonna do. Look out for her for sure. And I cannot wait to test her out myself because she looks super freaking fun. Last but not least, for the super rares, however, we have Titania. Very cool sculpt on this. She's like taking a selfie or whatever. Very cool. And taking a look at her card here, she's got Brute, Celebrity, and Warrior keywords. She's got a trait that at the beginning of the game, give each opposing character with the Celebrity keyword a copyright claim token. And when she hits with a close attack, give each hit character a copyright claim token. So our next trait says opposing characters with copyright claim tokens can't use standard powers not displayed on their dial. So if they have a bunch of powers from traits or special powers, they're not going to be able to use them. They have to have the actual colored standard power printed on their dial to be able to use those powers. That's insane. And then Titania takes a maximum of 1 damage from characters with copyright claims tokens. Again, that's crazy. She hits somebody, puts a copyright on them, and they're not going to be able to do much damage back to her. But then she has another trait that says, friendly characters that are less points than Titania modify attack +1. Just blanket effect across the board. Less points get +1 attack. That's crazy. And then when an opposing character hits Titania after resolutions, remove any copyright claim tokens from that character. So they're only going to be able to hit her for 1 damage, and then they at least get to remove the claim. But man, that is crazy. 75 points, destroys blocking terrain, charge, 12 attack, super strength, 3 damage, close combat expert. Yeah, I mean, with picking up something with super strength, she's hitting with a 13 attack for 6 damage. That's crazy. Giving him a copyright claim, knocking him back probably. And yeah, just some invulnerability there is pretty good defense. Yeah, I like her a lot. 75 points is a bit much, but if your opponent is playing a lot of celebrities, they are not going to have a good time against her. And celebrity is a really great keyword. There's a lot of really great celebrities. I mean, just think about, like, I know they just rotated out of Modern, but like Scarlet Witch, Sicarian Iron Man. There's a bunch of celebrities in this set herself. If they have another Titania, they're going to copyright each other. So yeah, I think that's hilarious. So yeah, she's pretty great. A little situational, but I think she could be pretty fun. So yeah, I think she's pretty great. Like I said, that does it for the super rares, you guys. As always, let me know all your thoughts and opinions about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video or got anything out of it, don't forget to smash that like button because it does help me out a lot. And don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. But if you'd like to help support the channel even more, you can check the links in the description for the Patreon or hit the join button down there for the YouTube memberships. Either way, for as little as $1 a month, you get entered into our monthly giveaways and you get to see your name here in the credits. So if that interests you, make sure to check that out. But that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.